It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. Here's tonight's Speed 77 Radio Race Chaser Online Crew Chief, Tom Baker.
Good evening, race fans, wherever you are. Welcome to the Performance Motorsports Network and tonight's broadcast of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. My name is Tom Baker. I am the senior editor of RaceChaserOnline.com. Today's racing news, yesterday's racing history, and tomorrow's racing stars. And I am joined by a triple header of Race Chaser colleagues at the round table tonight. First of all, the managing editor to my left, Jacob Seelman. Jacob, another Thursday night of motorsports and a lot going on in the motorsports world this week.
A lot going on, but more importantly, I heard the gears in your brain just go when you started trying to do numbers just then. That's how bad
I'm not good at math. I'm telling you, it's just, you get to a certain age and it just doesn't happen as quickly as it needs to.
I know.
There are three of you. I was trying to do something with the number three.
Like what else? No.
Besides Dale Earnhardt, we'll move on.
We'll move on anyway. But to get back to your point about the racing, there is a lot going on this weekend. There's a lot that's been going on the last couple of days, too, yes. Tom. Seems like I should be sharing a roundtable with you tonight with as much different things as we've been covering and doing all week long. But as it is, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to be excited about. We're going to the Irish Hills, and it's not Father's Day weekend. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. We get a week off to celebrate with our dads next weekend, which really is kind of cool. But in any event, Michigan, going to be fun, going to be fast, maybe not 210 or whatever the heck numbers we put up last year because of the horsepower reduction, but it's still going to be interesting. And oh, by the way, Jimmy Johnson comes into Michigan, Tom, with a little bit of momentum because, newsflash, they appealed a penalty and won.
And then they got penalized again.
Yeah, there was that.
So, I mean, it's kind of, we'll take one away. NASCAR giveth, NASCAR taketh away. It's that kind of thing.
NASCAR giveth back.
It's it's just getting to a point now where it's basically the people's court anymore. And it's not that, I'm not disappointed that they won the appeal or anything. I don't want it to come off like that, but it's very confusing to be a NASCAR fan these days. You got P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, and then you got an appeals committee who says, well, in one circumstance, you can't appeal a warning or you can't appeal this, but then you can't appeal it. You might win it. And, modified guy appeals something. He's told he can't appeal it. NASCAR Cup guy, well, whatever. So it's a confusing time to be a NASCAR fan. Too many numbers.
Too many numbers, right? And, Kyle Magda, I saw this point on social media earlier this week. And, if I'm Lee Pulliam, I'm sitting here scratching my head because Lee Pulliam in his late model stock, I don't know, it's been a couple months ago now, but says he can't appeal a penalty because, whatever thing that was broken was an unappealable offense, according to NASCAR. And yet, according to NASCAR, warnings are unappealable, but Jimmy Johnson still appealed and won anyways. So if I'm Lee Pulliam, I'm going, wait a minute. What about me?
Yeah, I don't know what the situation is with that. I mean, I don't know how the sport works sometimes with the penalties and stuff and appealing. And, the whole thing, when I thought of this with Jimmy Johnson, I thought back to 2012, with that whole thing, with having all the points taken off and everything and given back to them. And I really thought that was going to shoot them in the arm of the championship, but Brad Keselowski won. So I just don't know on this situation. There's just so many things going on right now. It's just I'm trying to keep up with everything. But with Jimmy, Tom, there's just so many things going on. And I don't know what's appealable, what's not appealable. There's so many things going on right now, Tom. I'm kind of still trying to wrap my head around it.
Well, I admit, and I agree with you, and I do feel a little bit like the Aflac duck in the Yogi Berra commercial. When Yogi says, if you're out of work if you're hurt, if you get hurt and miss work, it won't hurt to miss work. And then he comes up with the line, and they give you cash, which is just as good as money. And the duck's kind of like, I mean, I feel sort of like the duck, but I do think I kind of understand. Apparently, and Jacob helped me to sort of kind of get this by saying that technically they weren't appealing the warning, they were appealing the reason for the warning. So I guess you can appeal the reason for a warning, but you can't appeal a warning. I don't know if that helps clear it up.
Tom,
but
I'll reiterate, because that's not entirely what I said either. I'll go back to the beginning.
Okay, straighten this all out.
Yeah, I'll straighten this.
We're all sideways right now.
I'll take 2 minutes and straighten this all out, and then I'll let Aaron Bearden talk, because he's sitting there very, very patiently waiting for us to get done with this. So here's the deal. They didn't appeal the warnings themselves. What Jimmy Johnson and Hendrick Motorsports appealed was actually the P1 penalty that was given as a result of those 2 warnings, which is appealable. So you can appeal the penalty, you just can't appeal the warnings. But what that did was it forced the appeals committee to go back and take a look at the reasons for the warnings to figure out if they were justified. In the case of the second warning that was given during the Coke 600 weekend, there was conflicting evidence as far as whether the 48 teams' numbers were completely accurate going across the template, and, as far as what made them illegal to receive the second warning. Therefore, that was rescinded along with the penalty. Now, of course, that really didn't matter in the end, because they picked up a warning after this most recent weekend at Pocono. So they've got 4 warnings on the season. And Aaron, the thing that these guys need to keep an eye on is if they get 6 warnings in the span of a 6-month period, that P1 penalty gets bumped up to P2. And then we're talking about points. And we don't like talking about points.
No, we definitely don't like talking about points. That'd be 10 points for both him and Hendrick as an owner if he gets it. And then I think it could also apply to a monetary fine or suspension for a crew chief.
Indeed.
And also probation. But at the same time, I look at Jimmy Johnson, that Hendrick team, and they see 10 points and a fine and think, I have 4 wins and I'm already in the chase. Go ahead and penalize me. We don't care. Now, this is more important to me, I feel like, to your smaller teams or teams that are struggling to get in the chase in case they start trying stuff to sneak their way in. But, I mean, Johnson and Co. have always kind of tested the boundaries of every rule system NASCAR's got in.
Them.
Yes, and
is true.
That's probably a big reason why they win so much, is because they're not afraid to push that boundary. So, I mean, I really don't think this is going to hurt them that much regardless. So, I don't know. I just wish I could wrap my head around it all and understand it. NASCAR needs like a rule book for dummies book. You know how they make
NASCAR for dummies.
I'd like to see someone try to translate that thing into a dummies book.
Oh, goodness on that note, let's get to the racing, shall we? Because Tom, I mentioned the Irish Hills. It's going to be fun this weekend in Michigan. We've got ARCA tomorrow, we've got Xfinity Saturday, we've got the Cup Series on Sunday. The problem with the fact that we've got ARCA tomorrow, and we'll hear from Tim Clagg, who rejoins us on this program to talk ARCA a little bit later. There's a whole lot of water coming. I hate to say that word. I hate even more to say the R word, rain. Yeah, I said it. But the forecast for most of the weekend, and really for 7 out of about the next 8 days in Michigan, looks just terrible.
Well, you've just really messed up a lot of our audience's minds now, who are traveling along or on their way over there. I think, maybe somebody needs to ship Magda over there, because Magda's got like a 98 race dry streak or something since like 1926. But, let's hope that, look, here's all I'm going to say about that, Jacob. You invited a few of us out for a little party at your house the other day, and it rained like crazy, and there was nothing on the radar. So I think half the time these meteorologists, the more technology you give them, the less they know. So we'll hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. And they did practice earlier today, by the way. And Tim Clegg, I talked to him just earlier this afternoon, and he was really, really excited about this because practice is all shuffled up, and we'll hear his thoughts on it in a little bit. But, Tom, real quickly, some guy who's won a few ARCA races in his day or days or years, Frank Kimmel, ever heard of him? Yeah, he was fastest for a change.
Well, that's good. It's good to see Frank with some speed in the car, and it would be nice to see Frank get back to victory lane. He hadn't won in a little while, and anytime Frank Kimmel wins a race, I think everybody's happy. I mean, I don't know too many people, as much as Frank has won, as many championships he's won, I don't think he's ever gotten to the point. I mean, there may be a few of his competitors that get a little frustrated, but, he's always been a fan favorite because he's a great guy. I mean, he just... he's one of the finest gentlemen you meet in the sport, and it's great to see him running fast. And, equally as cool is the fact that, we got a little bit of a different slant now for this ARCA race with the fact that Matt Tifft was supposed to drive for Ken Schrader, but then ended up getting an opportunity to go and run elsewhere. So now Kenny Schrader is brought in a driver with a very interesting background, Kyle Magda.
Yeah, and with Ross Kenseth being Matt Kenseth's son,
Yep.
Matt Tifft running Gateway this weekend. Ross has a lot on his plate here in these next 2 weeks. He has the ARCA race tomorrow, or whenever they're going to run it, and then he has the Xfinity race next weekend at Chicagoland Speedway with Joe Gibbs Racing. So, and Ross was second today, not too bad. And I think it was a Chevrolet for Kenny Schrader.
Yeah.
So definitely has the speed. I'm definitely going to be interested to see how he performs because he was third at Kansas last year, Tom, and just seeing that he could keep that speed and hope maybe it'll translate to next weekend when he gets behind the Xfinity car as well, Tom.
Sure. So we'll talk with Tim Clegg about that a little later as well, and some other things going on in the ARCA series. And we've got a lot of ground to cover over the next hour and 45 minutes or so. So stick around. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Hi, this is Jens Scott from Summit Point Kart in Summit Point, West Virginia. If you're looking for a real racing experience on a real racetrack, come out to Summit Point Kart this weekend. For as little as $25, you can get your racing career started. New this year, Summit Point Kart offers the RX 250 capable of over 75 miles an hour. We're open every Friday from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m., Saturday from noon till 10 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 9 p.m. For more information, go to our website, summitpointkartwithak.com, or you can call us at 304-725-5270. Summit Point Kart, your East Coast karting center.
In the race of everyday life, it's nice to have the green flag. But drivetrain problems are the pits. A fully remanufactured engine, transmission, or differential from Jasper Engines and Transmissions costs less than a new vehicle and comes with a 3-year, 100,000-mile nationwide transferable warranty. See JasperEngines.com for details and get the green flag in your race of everyday life.
See the boys at Chandler & Sons Automotive, 45977 Old Ox Road in Sterling. Give them a call, 703-437-7300.
Ever higher, never quit. Lofty goals in this age of shoddy quality, corporate indifference, and built-in obsolescence. It's a beacon of light in a crowded field of mediocrity. The way a company is run is an indication of how you, the customer, is going to be treated. You have a lot of choices when you're searching for auto and performance parts online and at the corner parts store. So why should you buy from Excelsior Racing? Because they're simply the best online parts supplier in the business. If you're looking for selection, ease of ordering, cost, and prompt delivery, look no further. If you have a question, our customer service hotline, staffed by knowledgeable gearheads like you, will ensure that you get what you need to fix or mod your car or truck. With 1,000 suppliers, you're guaranteed to get what you need. First time, every time. Excelsior Racing. Excellence on the track. Excellence on the road. Excellence in customer service. Online at ExcelsiorRacing.com or call 502-909-2034.
All I wanted to do was just pick up a guitar and sing praise songs.
From IamSecond.com.
Well, when I got to 17, I was playing in after-hours bars, just in a bunch of trouble.
Grammy Award winner Michael W. Smith.
Smoking that first joint and feeling so guilty about it. From there, it was LSD, and your compass sort of just like disappeared. I knew where I belonged. I just couldn't get out. I was very depressed. I went on the floor and just began to shake. And I was just weeping. I was weeping. And I just began to just cry out for God. 12:30 at night, on the linoleum floor of my kitchen, the God of the universe came and wept with me on that floor. I know where my hope lies. It's not being a rock star. I'm a son of the High King of the universe.
Watch Michael's story at IamSecond.com.
The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show continues now on the Performance Motorsports Network. And here's your host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Aaron Bearden, Jacob Seelman, and Kyle Magda, all of us from RaceChaserOnline.com. Hope you'll check us out daily and often as we have all kinds of cool, unique content about all kinds of different racing. Literally, we try our best to cover the spectrum from top to bottom and really worldwide. So anxious to get into the heart of tonight's program here. A couple of special guests coming up later, but right now, talking some NASCAR and more specifically, talking about Michigan. Jacob, we go from a triangle to Michigan, which is it wouldn't seem a drastic change because Michigan's almost as big as Pocono, but certainly a huge difference in the approach to the track considering, well, it's not a triangle.
Indeed. And more importantly, it's a triangle, three-turn racetrack with about 165 to 170 miles an hour worth of speed to a 2-mile D-shaped oval with about 205 miles an hour worth of speed. So we're going to be hauling the mail this weekend.
Yes.
And, you know, the big event going to be on Sunday. And for me, Tom, it's always seemed like for the guys who over the years have been good at Michigan, they get on a roll and they stay there for a little while. And it's one of those where consistently you can be good, and that's been proven by a guy like Jimmy Johnson, who has an average starting position over the last few years of 9.6. He's got a win at Michigan. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's got 2 wins at Michigan, both of them drought busters. Greg Biffle, who's the all-time leading driver among the active drivers with 4 wins at Michigan, including a stellar one over Jimmy Johnson a couple years ago. I mean, and it just seems to come, Kyle, in spurts, because you'll see somebody be good for a while, then you'll see somebody else be good for a while, then you'll see somebody else be good for a while. Nobody's been better over the years than Ford, but unless a Penske car decides they're going to win this weekend, it's not going to be a Ford. I'll just throw that out there right now.
Jacob, Greg Biffle hasn't won a race in 2 years, and that was the last time was in Michigan.
That was the race he won over Jimmy Johnson, wasn't it?
I know, twice, yeah, in 2012, August 2012 as well, but yeah, I was thinking of that one line. He says, I like it when the 48 wrecks trying to catch me or something like that. I don't know if you remember that or not. But
yeah, I do remember that.
I always sticks in my head. But yeah, for Jimmy Johnson, I mean, since 2009, he has just been on a roll at that track. I know the wins don't show it, but he has been running up front all the time there. And when he finally won last year, I guess kind of got a monkey off his back, I guess, at Michigan.
Yeah, it was his first win.
And guess what? Kevin Harvick finished second again.
That was the first of Kevin Harvick's 7 races in a row that he's finished second to Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, then Kevin finished second again in August. So yeah, I think this weekend it's probably going to be. I'm thinking right now, probably going to be the 3 best cars you've seen the last week at Pocono, the 78, the 4, and the 48. They're right now, they're just on top of the world right now. They are just doing what they have been doing all year, winning, running top 5, leading the points. That's all they've been doing. They somehow find a way, Jacob, to get up there. And right now, I don't think I see anybody knocking them off. Not a Gibbs car, not a Roush car, not a Penske car, because they have been just on a roll lately, Jacob, and I don't know anyone can knock them off at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll take that. And to Aaron Bearden, I'll shift gears from the Cup Series for a minute because the Saturday race is going to be exciting. Why, you ask? Because the 2004 winner is back. Ladies and gentlemen, for the return, Act 2, Rowdy Busch.
Oh, yes, Kyle Busch. I think we know a thing or two about him finding his way to victory lane in the Xfinity Series. He only has, 70? Something up in that range now. He's definitely the leader, and he's just a phenomenal driver. I mean, every time he's at the track, the field just feels like this extra pressure to beat him because he's so strong. But he's not going to be the only one to keep your eye on out there when the Xfinity Series comes to town. If you'll recall, actually, last year, Joey Logano looked like he was in position to win it until an issue left him out, and Paul Menard went to victory lane. And I know
who
it's
saw
not
that coming?
Yeah, it's not the most common sight in NASCAR, although Menard has been strong and consistent wherever he runs. But they're both going to be back in this race. Logano in that 22 car and Menard in the 33. And also some guy named Kevin Harvick's going to be in it in the 88, I hear. So there's definitely a lot of Cup guys that are going to be ready to put on a good show.
Yeah, some Kevin Harvick guy. I do like that. Kyle, what say you on that old 54 car?
Well, since Aaron and I both picked him to win in his return, hopefully on Saturday, another guy, another Kyle in the race as well. Kyle Larson returning as well. I'm going to be interested on Saturday. This race has kind of been more wide open than you think. The last few years here, even though Paul Menard did win last year, Sam Hornish was right there as well in the end. So I think it's more of a, there's a track position game because. Yeah, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott led so many laps last year, but they weren't even in the contention to win the race last year. And once they repaved it, tires have not really mattered there. And by the way, Jacob, last time Kyle Busch won at Michigan, it was Cabela's was still the sponsor of the race. So that nice trophy, that nice Bear trophy at the time. So there's just so many stories going in this race. You think of all the years they've raced in Michigan since 1992. And there's been so many winners there, it's like Mark Martin and Kyle Busch and Michael Waltrip and Kevin Harvick as well. So I think it's going to be a good race Saturday. Michigan usually puts on a good show, Tom, and really what Michigan has done here, they've had some good races. Tire wear hasn't been a problem, like I said. But Tom, I don't know. I mean, what do you think about Saturday's race? You think we'll see a Cup guy win again, or could we see somebody different in victory lane on Saturday?
Well, I picked Bubba Wallace on Monday just because I didn't know that Rowdy was coming back. To be honest, I missed that memo. But
apparently,
here's the piece of this though. We've just spent the last 2 or 3 minutes talking about the Xfinity race, and all we've talked about as far as winning it have been Cup guys, and I wonder why. That proves everything that I've been saying for years about what's wrong with this picture is that you have all this talent. You have Bubba Wallace. You have all these guys in this division. You have Chase Elliott. You have Regan Smith. You have all these guys. And all we talk about with the Xfinity Series is Cup guys. And that's it. We don't talk about these other guys, and that's proof of why this is a huge mistake that NASCAR is making by letting these guys run in these series, because it gives no respect and no credibility whatsoever to the guys who bust their tail every week to win.
Hang on.
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
So I think it's unfortunate that we've spent all that time talking about the Cup guys. Now, with that being said, I think that this is a track where you could see a Bubba Wallace or an Elliott Sadler, who I know was a Cup guy. He's not anymore.
He's not anymore.
Or a Chase Elliott or Regan Smith. You could see one of those guys actually step up and beat all those Cup guys. I believe this is the type of track where you might just see that happen, because you can run 4 or 5 wide on this track and make some crazy moves, and some of those guys like to do that sort of thing.
Yes, and thank you for not taking my point. I was nervous you were going to take my point, but you didn't take my point, so I'm going to make it now real quickly. You did leave it for me, and I'm excited because if there's one Xfinity driver that's going to make waves and could steal this race, he won an ARCA race here in 2012. He's won 2 Xfinity races, one of them against the Cup guys this season, and his most recent Xfinity win came with a strategy that works to perfection. It seems like 99 times out of 100 when you come to this racetrack. Fuel mileage. If you want to watch somebody this weekend, my vote is keep an eye on Chris Buescher. That 60 team, if they do it right, could play the fuel card to a 3rd win this season, Tom. And we've not even talked about the Truck Series this weekend, and they're going to one of my favorite tracks on the circuit, Gateway.
Well, yeah, Gateway is, first of all, it's great to see Gateway back on the schedule. Again, yes. Second of all, Gateway is the perfect example of a track where I think the trucks are really going to excel. After a couple of stink bombs that they've had lately, I think this race has the chance to actually be a very competitive race from start to finish, and I think you could see a lot of trucks involved. You're going to see some guys that don't generally run up front have a chance to really shine here. I think this is and it's also a track that likes first-time winners.
Yes, 3 words. John Hunter Nemechek.
Yes. This is exactly the kind of track where somebody like John Hunter could step up, or even one of the other rookies, Cameron Haley, I'm thinking of right off the bat, or even an Austin Terrio. You know, you've got several of those guys that have been fast, and a guy like John Hunter who's not in a cup supported truck, if you will, necessarily.
But who should have won this race a year ago.
Exactly. And I think that this is the kind of race where he could excel. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. Right now, we're going to get set for Tim Clegg to come in and talk some ARCA racing. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
In the Pits Media is proud to present its newest partner, WinYourNewCar.com. That's right, you now can enter the #1 American Dream Car Contest giveaway at WinYourNewCar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free, delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
Car problems? You can trust your local Cotman man. Cotman has a 40-year history as a leader in car repair and making happy, satisfied customers. Whatever's wrong with your car, SUV, or truck, Cotman will check it out free using state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Don't take chances with your car. Bring it to Cotman and let your local Cotman man show you why they are America's transmission and total auto care experts. Visit Cotman.com to download money-saving coupons. Cotman. Real service, real fast.
You know that phone call is going to come at the worst possible time, right at the end of the game. 4th quarter, 4th down, and 1 yard to go. They're piling up, but you can't watch that. You got to get that car off the road. This could have been prevented if you have taken advantage of Cotman's free TransCheck 21. Here's a chance to have us look at your car and head off any problems that could happen that could interrupt that game. Again, it's a free check. Come see us.
See Leonard and the fine folks at Cotman of Manassas, 9113 Mathis Avenue in Manassas. Give them a call at 703-365-7200.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
If you're a gearhead, you probably go online to those hot rod superstores, drooling over the chrome and speed goodies until you find just the right item for your muscle car, tuner car, or truck. But what do you do when it comes to fixing the mom mobile? If you're like most do-it-yourselfers, you head to the strip mall parts store and talk to the "Do you want fries with that?" kid behind the counter. Hold on, Bunky. Did you stop to think where those chain stores are getting the parts that you're installing in the vehicle that's used to transport your family everywhere? They get the cheapest suppliers they can find to sell you the parts at bargain prices. They're limited lifetime warranties. What a joke. Remember the last time Mom's car broke down? You heard about that one for weeks. Don't take that chance again. Excelsior Racing has the quality parts you need for your family vehicle. Parts that you can install knowing you're getting the best for your family. Excelsior Racing. Quality parts, personalized service, affordable pricing, fast to you direct. Excelsior Racing. Online at excelsiorracing.com or call 502-909-2034.
Hi everybody, this is Getty Lee for RAD. To many of us, drunk driving is something that other people do. Certainly not one of our friends or relatives would do such a thing. When you see someone who's had too much to drink, about to get into a car, urge them to give up the keys and find alternate transportation. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, you should too.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Here we go with more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
We're back, and welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, Aaron Bearden, Kyle Magda here at the round table. And, we talked about it a little bit at the top of the show. Now we really get to dig deep into the ARCA side of this weekend's action in the Irish Hills of Michigan. And to do that, we bring back one of our media colleagues and ARCA radio personality, Tim Clagg, to talk a little bit of this weekend's action. And Tim, I know there's one thing we're hoping doesn't happen this weekend, and that's that R word, which will remain nameless.
Yeah, I mean, especially for me being from Northwest Ohio, I'm still remaining a little optimistic for tomorrow. I think for sure we'll get it in. They called for that dreaded R word all day today up at Michigan, and they were able to get the full practice session in, and they had a little bit of a delay for just a quick passing shower. But nonetheless, the weatherman was proved wrong one day so far this weekend, so hopefully praying that we get a couple more that are clear this weekend for all the on-track schedule activities for Michigan International Speedway.
And how about those practice charts? It was the epitome of youth versus experience. Experience wins out on the numbers because Frank Kimmel's on top of the board. But I'm liking the guy who ended up the day second. Ross Kenseth in Schrader's 52 car makes me smile because, and here's a stat for you, Tim. The last 19 ARCA races, going all the way back to David Keith's win in 1999, 19 different winners. And I'm thinking just maybe Ross Kenseth could make it 20 straight tomorrow afternoon.
Well, I think he's got a great chance. Absolutely no doubt about that. We've had 4 first-time winners in the last 4 ARCA Racing Series events for the 2015 schedule so far. And I'm really liking that. I mean, obviously, Ross, he has very limited experience in the ARCA Racing Series. But I'll tell you what, the race that really helped him last year, I think, in these big full-bodied stock cars was making the most of an opportunity with Tony Blanchard's 3-car last year and finishing in the 3rd spot at the Kansas finale last year. I mean, they were down on horsepower. I mean, I talked with those guys at Kansas Speedway. They were about 15 to 20 horsepower down compared to everybody else and still walked out of there with a 3rd-place finish. If Ross can finish in the top 5 with a car that's that much less on horsepower than the competitors he's battling with, I'm almost scared to see what he can do in a car that's equal in an Ilmor 396 engine tomorrow, what we'll see on the racetrack at 5:45 when we get the green flag.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to watch. And we've seen how much the Ilmor has made a difference this season, insofar as being able to bring the power up to the next level. And one of those cars that I really want to highlight for just a second, because he was 12th on the board earlier today, but I think they may be capable of something else in the race, was actually the Roger Carter 97 machine and Bobby Hamilton, because they're finally on an engine package that is competitive compared to the rest of the field. And anybody that's seen Bobby race over the years knows he's not afraid to put his foot to the floor. I definitely don't think he's going to be able to go out and just walk off with a win, but maybe a top 10 finally for this, because that team could use it.
Yeah, they really could. I mean, they have really made a lot of improvements and a lot of leaps and strides over the last year and a half. And, I mean, really, they've started to put together some consistent runs. They had a top 10 finish with Bobby at Toledo. They finished in the 8th spot, and that was a very well-deserved 8th-place finish. I'm curious to see now, you mentioned them now having an Ilmor on an equal playing field. Sure, they're kind of like the little team that could, like, Josh Williams or a team like that. But they did not, from my understanding, they did not put on new tires on that race car. They were running on 30-lap-old tires and still were able to turn in the 12th quickest time of the afternoon in the practice session. So I really like their chances to possibly get up there, earn a top 10. Who knows? They very well could get up there and sneak away with the top 5 finish. Bobby's had a lot of success in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at the Michigan International Speedway. It's a track he likes, so it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Tim, Kyle here. Nice to see you again over the weekend. And
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You know, we talk about the Ilmore package here, and you and I were talking about last Wednesday with the Open ARCA test, all the engine problems. Do you think maybe there is maybe a little bit of a concern with that going into Michigan? It's going to be a 200-mile race tomorrow. Is there you think there will be any concern with that, or you think ARCA and Ilmore have the issue figured out?
I think they got a pretty good hand on it from last weekend. I mean, let's not forget, this engine's still relatively new to the series. I mean, we've only had 8 races underneath of its belt. So sure, you're going to have some hiccups, maybe even a little bit of problems every now and then. But luckily, during the race, I don't think there was too many teams that had any problems. I think there was maybe one team that had an engine problem. I'm not sure if it was engine-related or not. But, I mean, they did a great job bouncing back from the test, because I know, speaking with a lot of the teams from the test, there was a lot of concern, but that concern kind of seemed to go away during the course of the weekend, and it really went away on Saturday. So, I mean, I think it's there in the back of their mind, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as what it was last week at Pocono. I really think that they stepped up. Ilmore and ARCA did a fantastic job diagnosing those problems last weekend.
Yeah, and just referring to tomorrow's race, top 10 seemed like, I think 10th was Cody Coughlin in practice today. Are there any drivers you're looking at? I mean, who do you think could be like a dark horse for Friday's Corey and Oil 200?
Well, I think last weekend, the phrase dark horse, I would have called him last weekend, the 54 car, Matt Krzyzewski. We talked to him earlier on Inside ARCA this week, and I think that run really surprised a lot of people. But now they're not going to sneak up there, if they are successful this weekend. Heck, they didn't even know that they were going to be heading to Michigan until Sunday afternoon. Brian Keselowski and Matt were talking all weekend long. Hey, if we do pretty well here at Pocono, we should go to Michigan. And Matt ended up sending Brian a text Sunday mid-morning, and they made a decision. And Matt, that was his first time running at Pocono. He earned a career best 5th place finish. Brian Keselowski and his dad Bob have a lot of knowledge in the ARCA Racing Series. Bob's a former champion. Brian, obviously a former winner. It would not surprise me one bit to see him sneak up there and possibly contend and maybe pick up that first victory in that 54 car.
Tim, it's really been cool to be able to talk about some of these younger drivers and the guys that, again, we don't normally give a lot of airtime to. And one of the other drivers that I thought just did an amazing job at Pocono last weekend, even though the result won't show it, is Kyle Beatty Racing and their driver, Tyler Audi, coming up to 6th place before a mechanical issue put them out. But boy, Tyler's a guy, they're concentrating on the super speedways with him, and he really wants to develop that aspect of his racing for the moment. And again, I think this is a testimony to the fact that, if you know what you're doing mechanically, the ARCA Series is a place where even if you don't have a shop full of engineers, you can still put a car together that's fast and competitive and go and run the super speedways and compete, at least, to that extent. I thought that was a great job done by those guys.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, also, too, with the TV package that the ARCA Racing Series has, it's important now more than ever to get that TV time. For a young guy like Tyler Audi, who doesn't get the chance to get out there and really run too much with the ARCA Racing Series, he's made the most of those opportunities and had a great run going. I hated seeing that for him, but there's going to be some big things out of their camp here. Look for a big announcement mid-next week heading into Chicago with that team. Tyler is going to hop in a very a very well-known race car. So look for that announcement probably mid next week before we get to Chicago at the Chicagoland Speedway.
Are we referring to the Chicago ride? Because that hand may have already been tipped, I think, Tim. Unless you're referring to something beyond Chicago. I know Tyler's hopping into Josh Williams' seat.
That's what I'm referring
with Josh
to.
moving over to the Cunningham ride at Chicago.
Yeah, I knew the Josh Williams side of things had been announced. I didn't want to kind of steal their thunder if they haven't made that announcement yet. I mean, I'd known about that for the last 2 weeks or so, and I didn't want to steal their thunder if they had a formal announcement. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, that's a huge deal. Josh Williams and those guys have first-class equipment, and I think Tyler will do a great job in that 6 car.
I hope so. I really do, because that's a team and a young driver that I think really deserves a good run later this year, Tim. And real quickly, I'm curious your thoughts maybe for going into this weekend. I know we talked about it, 19 different winners in the last 19 ARCA races at Michigan, but Frank Kimmel is the most recent active winner in the field, won a decade ago this weekend back in 2005. How big is it if Frank Kimmel goes to victory lane and finally gets the monkey off his back with Venturini Motorsports? I know how badly he wants to win in that 25 car.
I think it'd be really huge. I mean, let's not forget, last year was a little bit of a down year for Frank Kimmel running full-time with Wintron. They were unable to pick up a win, kind of struggled to run up front like we're accustomed to seeing Frank do. I mean, it's been since 2013, the finale, the rain-shortened finale at Kansas Speedway, when Frank picked up the 10th championship and the record-breaking 80th career win at the Kansas Speedway. So I think it'd be huge for him. I think it'd be huge for the Venturini camp. They've won the last 2 races at Michigan. So I think right now they are one of the high favorites, especially when you see Frank number 1 on the practice chart. Frank typically practices towards, back of the top 5, tail end of the top 10. But when Frank's P1 on the board in practice, this field better look out tomorrow.
My thoughts exactly. And as always, definitely appreciate you taking some time to talk with us and really set this up. And we're looking forward to see how it all shakes out tomorrow afternoon, 5:30 on Fox Sports 2. If anybody out there wants to tune in and see the Stars of ARCA do battle on the 2 miles at Michigan. Tim, if you had to pick somebody, send us out. Who are you picking?
Oh, boy, man. It's the typical, as you mentioned, youth versus old age and treachery and enthusiasm. Ross Kenseth versus, I think, Frank Kimmel. I'm going to give the nod to Ross Kenseth. He has a lot of important races, in my opinion, for his career coming up this race here. He's racing the 251 at the Berlin Raceway on Tuesday, then making his NASCAR Xfinity debut at Chicagoland Speedway. I think if this young man wins here, I think we better put him as a contender in those other 2 races. So I'm going to go with Ross Kenseth being the 5th first-time winner in 2015 in the ARCA Racing Series.
The expert has spoken. Tim Clagg likes Ross Kenseth, and we'll see it all shake out tomorrow afternoon. Right now, we're going to shake out to a break, and we'll be back after this business. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
WinYourNewCar.com. Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest at WinYourNewCar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit coopercorvettes.com.
You wouldn't trust your taxes to an uncertified accountant, so why trust your vehicle to an uncertified technician? When you have to take your car into the shop, look for the blue and white ASE sign. That ASE blue seal means the shop employs technicians certified by the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence. ASE certification is proof that technicians have the knowledge and experience to fix your vehicle right the first time. For more information on finding an ASE Blue Seal of Excellence facility, visit the website at www.ase.com.
My very first movie, it was called British Terabithia, and that was a film that a lot of kids loved.
From IamSecond.com.
It felt very cool in my heart to know that I did something nice.
Actress Bailey Madison.
I don't want it to be about me, I want it to be about God. Even though you have an earth father, he is your father, that you can say to him, God, I'm not feeling too well today. Or if it's just, little things like, I feel homesick, or I need you, Lord. I need to feel happiness in my heart. The most important thing is you have to have hope. You have to have faith. God is with you, and God is with you every step of the way. If you give yourself to God and you say, I'm ready to commit myself to you, you will know that God is watching you. He looks down and he goes, I'm very, very happy with what you just did. My name is Bailey Madison, and I am second.
And now, back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show with Speed 77 Radio's most follically challenged host, Tom Baker.
Yes, that is very true. One of these days, I'm just going to get rid of the rest of the 5 hairs. Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, along with Kyle Magda, Jacob Seelman, and Aaron Beard. And I am Tom Baker, and of course, you are watching or listening to, actually, the Performance Motorsports Network.
He finally did it. He finally did it.
It's kind of that futuristic sort of video, TV, radio thing. Someday it would be fun to be Dave Despain, I would guess. People would probably enjoy watching us crack each other up here during the commercials. But
right?
At any rate, Jacob, you know what? We had a race over the weekend that was quite interesting for a variety of reasons.
It was interesting for a variety of reasons. And the race you're alluding to, Tom, was the Pass South region super late model race that happened to occur. Oh, yeah, you were there at South Boston Speedway in Virginia. Your boots were on the ground or on the asphalt or whatever the heck you want to say. But anyway, I digress. It was interesting for a couple reasons. Number one, it was interesting because the Kyle Busch Motorsports number 51 actually showed up to a pass race, and I've been trying to rack my brain all day to figure out when the last time it was that actually happened, and I can't think of a time at all, except for the North-South Shootout Pass South race last November at Caraway when Christopher Bell and Carl Weber were in a pair of KBM late models. That's the only other time that I can remember KBM bringing any supers to pass competition, but Kaz Gralla, their newest super late model pilot, certainly made it one to remember, led 131 of 150 laps, Tom, went to victory lane, and that was a race that was bizarre in the event that, well, it was clean for the most part. They had 100-plus lap green flag run, and Kaz said, we were prepared for yellows, and we didn't get a whole lot of them. It was kind of nice.
I'm glad you said for the most part, because there were a couple of incidents that we can talk about afterward. But first off, we had a chance to actually catch up with the winner of that race. And let's hear from Kaz Gralla.
Jacob Seelman for Race Chaser Online, the Performance Motorsports Network. You always see some surprise faces at the summer shootout, and in this case, it's a surprise face that graduated out of this summer series. Kaz Gralla back here to watch, and more importantly, back here off a really big Pass South win over the weekend in the Kyle Busch Motorsports 51. Pass South debut, and you made it a winning one. Led all but something like 19 laps of the feature over the weekend at South Boston. Talk about the drive, and I'm sure it meant a lot to you guys to get it done.
Oh, absolutely. You had that exactly right. 19. So you definitely knew that number coming into it. I don't think you guessed it. If you did, then that's pretty unbelievable. But yes, we led 131 of 150 laps, and that was just so cool for me. I didn't do the math exactly, but I want to say that might be more laps led than I've led in the rest of my stock car career combined. So that was a really, really good night for us. We spent all weekend in practice setting up the car for the long run, and we were lucky to get quite a few long runs in that race, one of them being 103 consecutive green flag laps. So that was pretty fun, and I was out front for most of those, which made it extra fun. But it was just really, really special to be able to win for Kyle Busch Motorsports. That was my first win for them, my first super late model win, my first super late model race ever in Pass and at South Boston. So there were quite a few firsts that night. My first pole as well in a stock car. Never done that before. So that was really, really, really fun for me.
It's a big night, and I mean, you come back here, this is where you started, more or less. I mean, this is where you and the class that you're racing against right now, so many of you got your start right here at Charlotte. Knowing where you are in your career right now, did you expect that, to be where you're sitting right now after, 2 or 3 years ago, being out there?
Definitely not. I didn't expect to be able to make it up the ranks so far so fast. So that's been a lot of fun for me, and I love coming back here and watching. It's very exciting racing. Everybody knows that, and these cars teach you a lot of car control. I think that's why you see a lot of these drivers moving up to super late models and K&N series, and now a lot of the people from the K&N series up into the truck series who have come out of the summer shootout. So there's a lot of competition here, and you learn a ton from these races, especially with the random draws and stuff like that. You got to learn to deal with whatever position you're in, wherever you're starting, whether there's wrecks, being bumped, all sorts of different crazy things happening out there. You got to learn how to deal with that, and you can definitely apply that for the rest of your career.
You've certainly done a great job of that so far, Kaz, and I know excited to pick up the win at South Boston. You mentioned K&N programs as well. You're headed to Langley in a couple weeks to get back behind the wheel of another Toyota, this time for Ben Kennedy Racing. The Kiklos machine, you guys have struggled a little bit this year. I mean, do you feel like there's something that you guys are looking for maybe to get your K&N program a little bit more where it needs to be, or has it been more about the circumstances for you so far?
We're definitely looking for something, and we know exactly what that is. That's luck. That's what we've been lacking this year. We've been fast everywhere we've gone. We've run up front. We just can't seem to have luck on our side. I mean, in one race, we had 3 flat tires and a bad alternator, so 2 battery changes because of that alternator. I mean, I don't think luck can get much worse than that. But, yeah, Mike Fritz and the whole Ben Kennedy Racing team have been setting up some really, really fast cars all season long, and I have no doubt that's going to continue at Langley. We're just looking for our luck to turn around. We've had some bad luck with Kyle Busch Motorsports in the super late model as well, and so that turned around this weekend, and so I'm hoping that some of that luck is going to rub off onto the K&N program, and we're going to make that fast car turn into a good result finally.
Real quick, you know how we roll here at the Shootout, Kaz. Always want to give you a chance to say thank you to all those guys. You mentioned a few of them. Who makes it happen for Kaz Grala?
Of course, first and foremost, it's my parents for letting me do this crazy thing that I do called racing. But Kiklos on the K&N side and Ben Kennedy Racing, as well as Toyota Care, and in the super late model with Kyle Busch Motorsports.
It's been a lot of fun, Kaz. I know you enjoy being here, and we're getting ready to get back on track, so we'll let you get in the grandstands and have a little fun with it. Always appreciate the time.
Thank you very much. Let's see what happens in this race.
Oh, Kaz Grala, and boy, he definitely made a statement. There's no question about it, Jacob. I mean, when you lead that many laps in a pass race, and he didn't just lead them. I mean, even a lot of the laps he didn't lead, honestly, you never got the feeling he was very far from it. I mean, he just dominated the day.
Absolutely. And while Kaz was dominating the day, there was a whole lot going on behind the race lead, Tom. Once he got there, he left. But, you know, I hate to be the guy to make this pun, but yeah, Matt Bowling.
If you didn't, I would.
Yeah, Matt Bowling. The last name says it all. It wasn't just the pass race either. He bowled his way through the field, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And Lee Pulliam Josh Berry and Trey Jarrell aren't very happy with him.
He had a perfect 10th frame, you might say. You know, 3 strikes in the 10th frame is a perfect frame. And he dumped 1 car in each race. And actually, the 3rd race, let me back up a second. They actually had 2 late model stock events that surrounded the pass race. So you had the late model stock race 1, and then you had I think the pass race was next after that. I'm trying to remember where the Legends race was in the order. It doesn't matter. You had 2 late model stock races, the pass race. Now, Matt Bowling had never run in a pass race in the super late model before. But he got in one of Peyton Sellers' cars, and he went out, and in the first late model stock race, he just dumped Lee Pulliam. I mean, there was no question about it. He took him out on the front stretch, put him in the inside wall, and won the race. He came out in the pass race, and Trey Jarrell was actually as dominant as Kaz Gralla was. Trey Jarrell was as big of a story if you were watching the race, because Trey came from about 13th starting spot, and when it was his time to go, he sort of just eased into the whole race mode thing, and was very patient. And when it came to about lap 55 or 60, he just started picking cars off. Got all the way up to 5th and was running times that were as good as Kaz Gralla's, and came up on Matt Bowling, and he passed him once. Matt passed him back. Trey went to pass him back again, and Matt dumped him. Just came across his nose on the front stretch and put them both in the wall. It was very obvious that it was a takeout, and they've had some issues before, the two of them. Bowling seems to have issues with a lot of people. He's kind of an insecure racer. If you can't beat him, he just likes to dump you. He gets kind of one of those self-conscious kind of racing. So Bowling ended up, they had some issues in the Jarrell trailer after the event. And subsequently, I am told that Bowling has been permanently banned from the Pass Series. So he ran his one and only Pass Series event. And then if that wasn't enough, he went bowling in the second late model stock race, took out Josh Berry, and ended up taking out several other cars in the process of wrecking Josh Berry. So, it appears there are going to be some implications from this, but we can't really speculate too much. NASCAR has been called. It's unfortunate because Matt's a good racer. He doesn't need to do the junk that he did the other night. But I mean, there was no question whatsoever in each of the cases that it was just a blatant takeout. There are many drivers like that around in the sport that just don't. They lose their minds after a while. So we'll talk more about that in future weeks, I suspect. Right now, we're going to step aside. We got plenty more. Another hour coming up, a motorsports conversation on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest at winyournewcar.com. That's right, winyournewcar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free, delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming and start driving with winyournewcar.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. you want to ask for Sue.
So you finally arrived at the sweet spot in your life. The kids are raised and gone. You have free time, and it's finally time to do something for you. If you've ever considered owning a Corvette but have been putting it off for years, now is the time to act. Isn't this the time to finally get that Corvette you always wanted and drooled and dreamed over? Well, grab the little lady by the hand and take her to Cooper Corvettes. They're conveniently located on Route 1 just off of I-95 and just north of the Marine Corps base. They have lots of pampered and well-maintained Corvettes in inventory, and if they don't have what you want, they'll find it. From classic Stingrays to modern-day cars, Cooper is your one-stop shop. And speaking of shops, they service what they sell. And even if you didn't buy a Cooper Corvette, they'll service your Corvette anyway. Become part of the Cooper Corvette family. Call them at 703-445-1483. That's 703-445-1483. And on the web at coopercorvettes.com. That's coopercorvettes.com, American pride and countrywide.
You wouldn't trust your taxes to an uncertified accountant, so why trust your vehicle to an uncertified technician? When you have to take your car into the shop, look for the blue and white ASE sign. That ASE blue seal means the shop employs technicians certified by the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence. ASE certification is proof that technicians have the knowledge and experience to fix your vehicle right the first time. For more information on finding an ASE Blue Seal of Excellence facility, visit the website at www.ase.com.
Hi, this is Carl Edwards here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible. Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Let's go back to steel and aluminum stock cars and supplying the SRIs with Race Chaser Online senior editor Tom Baker and the Speed 77 radio cast.
Steele,
what?
That was just awful.
Well, that's close enough. I don't care.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, correctly said, on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom
It's
Baker,
all Bob's
Aaron Bearden.
fault.
It's all Bob's fault. Tom Baker, Aaron Bearden, Jacob Seelman, and Kyle Magda. All of us from RaceChaserOnline.com around the proverbial round table talking motorsports with you, and hopefully looking forward to some outstanding action this weekend. We were talking about the past South race a moment ago at South Boston this past weekend, and just taking note that the past South Series actually not in competition this weekend, Jacob. They have the weekend off, but the past North Series is in competition this weekend up there in New England.
Yeah, Pass North in competition this weekend at Speedway 95, Tom.
Yes.
And a name I'm keeping an eye on is Cassius Clark. He's been good there in the past. He's looking to hopefully rebound and get something done again. But when you talk Pass North, quite simply put, Ben Rowe. Ben Rowe. How many times have we talked about the 4N, Tom, and being as good, as solid, as consistent as he's been? We've seen him in a few past South races. That's my bet to go to victory lane this weekend. I mean, you can't have a past North race and not talk about Ben Rowe.
Well, it's hard to, you're right, but you know that, again, like the past South Series, the past North Series just stacked. I mean, you know, Shaw and Clark and Doiron and just, I mean, it continues on. That's a really, really good series. Speedway 95 is kind of an interesting little racetrack. I'm going to be anxious to see the results and the details of this show. Should be a lot of fun. I love the combination shows that Pass North is running this year with the ACT Tour. I think that's a really cool concept, and I'm looking forward to seeing that as develop more as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I want to see that relationship develop because it's going to be very interesting. I want to see that go further because both series are thriving right now on the shows that they've done, the doubleheaders that they've done. That needs to continue. Yay for Tom Mayberry for stepping up and helping to make that possible on the pass side. I like it. Tom Curley as well on the ACT side. Keep that going. Northeast late model racing, at least right now, is as healthy as it's ever been.
Well, it really is. And that, I think, took a big step toward making it even healthier because when you put the two biggest series, kind of like what Cars is doing down here with late model stocks and super late models on the same bill. You put the two biggest series on the same bill up there, and everybody actually ends up benefiting, including the fans. And one of the things that I'm keeping an eye on as well is the entire season right now on the Whelen Modified Tour, Kyle Magda. And lo and behold, they had a race last night at the Thompson Speedway. And wouldn't you know, put on your shock face, the winner, Doug Colby.
He just ran away with it, Tom. I mean,
Sure did.
From what I saw with the updates, I think he was like a second ahead of Justin Bonsignor, and he was gone all night. Ryan Preece, I think he's won the last race before Thompson, so with TS haulers and everything. So there's just so many things. There's just so much going on right now. But Doug Colby pretty much is picking up where he left off last season with the championship and just starting to win again. And Tom, this is kind of rare. Thompson going to Wednesday night. Typically running Thursdays there at the tracks they have for many years. Good to see them have the modifieds back there. But yeah, I mean, here in the next couple weeks, there's going to be a lot of great racing there. I think we have Loudon in a month. That'll be good with the Cup Series as well. Yep. So they have a lot of good things coming up. But right now, Doug Colby, showing the championship caliber he has, showing up on Wednesday night, Tom, and I just don't know whether anybody can beat him. It looks like it may be him and Ryan Preece right now.
Well, and speaking of Preece, Preece picked up the win over the weekend at Thompson. So, Ryan and Doug both in victory lane since our last show last Thursday. And, the modified tour up north seems to be right now comfortably Colby and Preece. Now down south, little bit of a different story. The Southern Modified Tour in action at they're off till July the 4th. Langley's got a show coming up, however, this coming weekend. Should be very exciting as well. And Daniel Hemrick, as we continue to go across the region, if you will, for just scanning through the news articles of the week. Daniel Hemrick picking up a big win in the Sunoco Super Series, Aaron Bearden. And Hemrick's a guy, we watched him have his best run ever in the Truck Series this past week. And then he turns right around, rushes to a late model event, and goes to victory lane in that. We saw him at the Summer Shootout, Aaron, on Tuesday, keeping a watch on his Legends car proteges. And, Daniel said, man, it's too bad that Truck Series run didn't quite hold up. He ended up 9th at the end. He was running in the top 3, but, picking up a big win in the late model, the kid can just drive anything.
He really can. Hemrick is just a great wheelman. I actually have seen him run a late model to a victory up in Anderson, up where I'm from too, because he pretty much just wins wherever he goes. And I think it's really starting to show even in the Truck Series, where a lot of people who really didn't know who he was at the start of the year have been taking notice of him and seeing that, hey, this guy's running up there with Eric Jones. He's running up there with Matt Kraft, and he can really compete in this car and this truck in this case. And he's just, whatever he goes to, he just always seems to find success. I mean, he beat Chase Elliott to win that race in the Southern Super Series. And there was other great drivers in the field. I mean, you had Harrison Burton, Jeff Burton's son, Casey Roderick. I mean, there was Kyle Grissom. There's a lot of great names in that field. And for him to come out on top in a race like that is just huge. And I'd also like to note there's a chance for another strong power couple there, because if I recall, isn't he dating Kenzie Ruston?
Yeah, he is. And Kenzie, of course, running the K&N Pro East Series, and it was interesting to...
Daniel was at Bowman Gray, too.
Yeah, he was. It was interesting to hear, talk to Kenzie the other day, too, at the shootout about what she thought about the race at Bowman Gray. And, she wasn't necessarily as excited about it as maybe some of the guys who finished higher than she did. And she doesn't like the rough and tumble driving style that that is typical of a Bowman Gray race. And but she did well. She ended up in the top 10 there, and that'll lead me right back to the event I mentioned a little bit ago at Langley. K&M Pro East headed to Langley Speedway in Virginia, and again, little different from Bowman Gray in the sense that there's certainly more space to race there, but it's still a track where it's a bit of a bull ring in the sense that those cars will fill it up quickly, but definitely a different deal. And I think you've got some drivers who, we talked about H. Scott Motorsports is dominating Bowman Gray. Obviously, you've always got to keep them in the front of your mind, Kyle. But I think as we get to a track like Langley, you start looking at some of the other folks like a John Holloman and some of the more independent teams as being teams that could get up there and have really strong runs against the bigger groups.
And at this time last year, Tom, it was Ben Rhodes, Rhodes, and more Ben Rhodes. So, I mean, right now it looks like H. Scott Motorsports is just doing what they've been doing. Even when they were Turner Scott last year, Ben Rhodes when he won 4 in a row, actually his streak ending at Langley. There's just so much, it's so open this year with the series, and you see a guy like Scott Hecker go out at Bowman Gray, lead every single lap, win the pole, fastest in one of the practices, and of course Dalton Sargent has still not won a race yet in the K&N East Series. Hard to believe.
Yeah, it is hard to believe, and honestly, Bowman Gray obviously a track position game, and so qualifying was critical there, and I'm not so sure that you're not going to see maybe some guys like the Bassetts, Ronnie and Dylan. I think if they can get things figured out a little bit, that's the type of situation I'm talking about, where I think we could easily see one of those guys step up and break out and really have a strong race. And we're going to be talking with John Holloman about that here in just a moment. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
WinYourNewCar.com. Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest at WinYourNewCar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
Car problems? You can trust your local Cotman man. Cotman has a 40-year history as a leader in car repair and making happy, satisfied customers. Whatever's wrong with your car, SUV, or truck, Cotman will check it out free using state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Don't take chances with your car. Bring it to Cotman and let your local Cotman man show you why they are America's transmission and total auto care experts. Visit Cotman.com to download money-saving coupons. Cotman. Real service, real fast.
You know that phone call is going to come at the worst possible time, right at the end of the game. Fourth quarter, fourth down, and 1 yard to go. They're piling up, but you can't watch that. You got to get that car off the road. This could have been prevented if you have taken advantage of Cotman's free TransCheck 21. Here's a chance to have us look at your car and head off any problems that could happen that could interrupt that game. Again, it's a free check. Come see us.
See Leonard and the fine folks at Cotman of Manassas, 9113 Mathis Avenue in Manassas. Give them a call at 703-365-7200.
Media sales professionals with agency experience. If you're frustrated with your current position, unrealistic quotas, and inept management, if you're a sales machine and you simply will not take no as an acceptable reply, if you're looking for a rapidly growing company with unlimited sales potential for commissions in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're searching for a high-tech, forward-looking, laid-back, but extremely professional organization who appreciate your skills and dedication, we have your next opportunity. Scorpion Radio Group is building a sales team of self-starters who are motivated. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444 or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. That's 717-749-0444. 0444 and ask for Sue.
Hi, this is Jens Scott from Summit Point Kart in Summit Point, West Virginia. If you're looking for a real racing experience on a real racetrack, come out to Summit Point Kart this weekend. For as little as $25, you can get your racing career started. New this year, Summit Point Kart offers the RX 250, capable of over 75 miles an hour. We're open every Friday from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m., Saturday from noon till 10 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 9 p.m. For more information, go to our website, summitpointkartwithak.com, or you can call us at 304-725-5270. Summit Point Kart, your East Coast karting center.
For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. Now they're also an official motorsports content partner of Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for all their raw materials, such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much, much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is your #1 source for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the road to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. You can also find them on Facebook at Stock Car Steel and Aluminum, or call either company toll-free at 1-888-752-7272.
Now, back to more with Tom and the Speed 77 radio crew. It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Aaron Bearden, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda, all of us from RaceChaserOnline.com. And we were discussing the upcoming K&N Pro Series East race at Langley in Virginia here coming up this very weekend. And lo and behold, we just happen to have a driver who's going to be contesting, I think, in that race. If I'm not mistaken, John Holloman, welcome to the program. Once again, good to have you back. And you're coming off a big win as Legends victories go in the Summer Shootout Series. It's big for you because it's your first in that division, but at the shootout, but also big for you because your first win with Devo Motorsports. Talk about that, and then also talk about the upcoming K&N Pro East Series race at Langley Speedway.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on here with you guys. Definitely, we started off really strong round one of the Summer Shootout Monday night. We started off 11th. We didn't really have any practice time. We had to go straight to qualifying. And, this is with a car that never drove the setup on, got a brand new setup under Devo Motorsports, and still didn't get a chance to break in tires. So we were on old tires Monday night and started 11th and worked our way up and got all the way up to third in our 25-lap race. So we felt pretty positive going into round two on Tuesday night. And, we qualified 6th, which was a lot better than Monday. We got a chance to get a little bit of time on the track. And due to the invert, we started on the pole, and, man, we had a great race. We led flag to flag and had a couple challenges, but we were able to hold them off, come out with a win. And, it's pretty awesome when you can get a win in only your second race together as a team. That's something you can be pumped about right there.
No question about that. It was really cool to watch that, actually. You guys just gelled together so quickly. And, for those in our audience who really don't have a lot of background with the Legends cars, they may look small, but the horsepower to weight ratio is so drastic, and with the street tire, very difficult car to get a hold of. And it's tough, like anything else, when you change crew chiefs. It usually takes a little while to gel, but boy, not for you guys, John. It just it came very quick, and you just got up there and did a really nice job to get the win.
Well, I appreciate it. Like you said, we came together pretty quickly. The guys at Devo Motorsports haven't had the car but about 2 weeks. That's when we decided we were going to be able to run the Summer Shootout this year. And, it's already been a blast, and I hope we can continue this momentum all throughout the series.
All right, John. So moving away from the Legends car for a minute, looking at Langley next weekend, it's a lot different than what you're used to. I mean, I know a lot of people that follow you know that you compete very heavily at the stadium at Bowman Gray, but Langley kind of races like Bowman Gray, you've just got about twice the room to be able to do something with. What do you think your guys' chances are going to be for going forward in the K&N car? Because I feel like this season you guys have finally been able to make some strides and really have started to kind of get your feet underneath you with that 49 car.
Yeah, we have, and it's we've definitely learned a lot this year. Unfortunately, we won't be competing this upcoming race at Langley Speedway.
Oh, okay.
We plan on racing at Dover, and putting the cars away for the year and try to get some new cars and newer stuff. Try to upgrade our equipment, regroup a little bit, and run a full schedule next year. Just like I said, we've learned so much, and we've taken so much information. We see what we need now, and we got our feet wet, and we think this is definitely the best move for John Holland Motorsports to kind of run one more race at Dover and see how it turns out. Take some of that information we've gained, and I think we'll have a strong run when we do go there. But I think next year will be a whole lot better. I do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I misunderstood you the other day. I thought you had said Langley, and I'm sure you probably said Dover was going to be your last race. And I want to ask you about that. But before I do, let's talk about Langley specifically, because I know you've had laps in the Pro E Series car at Langley doing a little testing. Talk a little bit about what it takes to be fast in one of those cars at Langley.
If you've ever been to Langley, it's just like a little bowl.
It is.
You never stop turning, and for a 150 lap race, I believe it was 175 last year when I ran. It's very tiring on the driver, and it's very hard on tires. So the thing is not to use your stuff up at the end. It's definitely a different experience than any other track, but it's a blast. I'd love to be able to go race there this weekend, but it's in our best interest to do what we got planned. But yeah, it's an awesome track, and I look forward to seeing the race. I believe it's next Thursday it'll be airing. So it's going to be exciting to see how it pans out up there for those guys.
Should be. And I just want to have you talk a little bit more about what's behind the decision to run. Why did you pick Dover specifically as kind of the last race for the year? Give us a little bit more of an idea, if you can, what's behind the decision to take the balance of the season off?
Well, I believe we picked Dover to be one of our last race this season, because it's another one of those tracks we're going to really need some information on next year when we go there. And Gotcha. It's going to be a really pivotal point of our season, we believe. And we're going to take what we get this year and, move forward and how we can be better next year. Like I said, the decision just to cut our schedule short this year and regroup just has a lot to do with, we're a one-car team. We're not like these other teams like H. Scott and teams like that. We kind of need to, save our funding and really look forward to next year and get better stuff for next year and really pull all our strings together at once.
John, just want to go back to the K&N Bowman Gray weekend for a minute. No, you ran the race. You also won the Sportsman race that weekend as well, one of the two. And you also wound up being in victory lane also with Tim Brown, a guy who took over the all-time wins lead in the modified series there. What was it like for you to be in victory lane the same weekend when he accomplished a feat like that, and also to run the K&N East race at your home track?
It was a pretty amazing weekend overall. It was pretty cool to see Tim break that record. Tim's really a great guy. He's well deserved of it. When we had our 100-lap Sportsman race a couple weeks ago, me and Tim both won the pole for both our races, so we were up there chatting quite a bit. We were sharing some stories together and stuff like that. But he's always been a great guy to me. Him and his brother Ben, they're great people over there, and I'm super happy for those guys. It's a blast to be able to run the K&N series over there. We didn't have the best day, but the stuff happens like that in racing. It's one of those racing deals. You gotta keep your head up and keep moving forward. But it's just cool to be able to race over there, period, especially in a high division like K&N East. And I just got to thank NASCAR for allowing us to come over there and still race over there, because a lot of series won't because it's so small. But I believe they enjoy the prestige it gives, and I know the drivers definitely do.
Yeah, I want to circle back now for a minute, John, because we kind of went to the K&N deal, and now I want to bring it back to what you were able to accomplish on Tuesday night, because I know you and I were talking about it after the semi-pro feature, and just how big finally being able to break through in a Legends car was for you after all the success you've had at Charlotte, at the shootout before, winning the Bandolero Outlaws title, and just everything you've been able to accomplish. But you told me Tuesday night that Legends car feature really topped everything else you've done on the quarter mile at Charlotte. Has it sunk in yet? Have you let yourself stop and go, okay, the trophy's on the mantle, we did this, and really start to think now about how you can maybe do it again?
Oh, absolutely. You always want to, as soon as that checkered flag was flying, I was already thinking about how we can get better and compete for a win again next week. I think it's definitely sunk in. We, like I said, we didn't get hardly any practice time before the races Monday and Tuesday, so we were just trying to keep the car in one piece so we could have something to work with next week, and let alone go out there and come from 11th to 3rd, and then win the daggone thing Tuesday. It's pretty awesome. The thing about it, I believe the reason it tops it off the most is when I first started racing Bandoleros in 2007 down at Charlotte Motor Speedway Summer Shootout. I would always look at those legend guys, the guys running semi-pro, pro, young lines, guys like that. That's like the premier thing at Charlotte, the legend car division. And I thought it was always cool how those guys, always race with respect. And that was always the best races, the legend car races, So I think it was pretty cool to finally get out there and get us a win. We've been running legend cars for about 3 or 4 years now, but what a lot of people don't know is I've only ran about 30 races. I never ran a full schedule in legend cars. I ran about 10 races at Concord when I first started, and I've competed in one whole summer shootout and one whole winter series at Charlotte. So I really don't have that many races under my belt in the legend car, as many as you would think, for as long as I've been competing here and there in events. But it was a pretty cool feat, and we're super pumped about it. And we're sitting atop the points right now as well. So hopefully that's not too big of a target and we can keep it.
I was going to say, you really, in a way, can start thinking about championship, even though there's still a long way to go. But I know none of it was possible by yourself in the Legends car. And I know on the K&N side, too, for what you've been able to do this year. John, who makes it happen for you and the crew?
In the Legend cars, we can't do it by ourselves. Devo Motorsports guys really pulled together in a short amount of time and gave us a great race car. You got to thank them, my parents, our sponsors, Midway Mobile Storage, SurplusContainers.net, Mikasa Mexican Restaurant, and everybody makes this happen. But most importantly, I got to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for his salvation and keeping me safe in these race cars. It's a dangerous thing we do, but we love to do it, and he allows us to.
Amen.
Well, we're glad that you've taken a few minutes to talk with us, John. Always fun to have you on the program, and definitely looking forward to seeing you when we get back to the shootout next week. And best of luck. I know you're running this weekend at Bowman Gray as well, too. So we'll wish you luck there and look forward to seeing you the start of next week.
All right, I appreciate y'all for having me. I hope to be back soon.
We're going to do a little more business here, and we'll continue our summer shootout conversation when we come back and bring on one of the Pro Division winners from Tuesday night's action. Michael Torres joins us in just a moment. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
Enter America's #1 dream car giveaway contest at winyournewcar.com. That's right, winyournewcar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming and start driving with winyournewcar.com.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit. Make a plan. Be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
On the air, you may know me as the man about motorsports. Actually, I've been the man about insurance for over 30 years. With one call, I can cover your life, health, auto, home, and business insurance. Recently, I saved a young couple over $500 on their annual car insurance bill. no gimmicks, and no green lizard. So if you think your insurer is really your good neighbor who is on your side because he is holding your money in his good hands, think again. Call me, 703-631-8000. I have dozens of insurance companies waiting to give you the protection you need and deserve. It may take more than 15 minutes, but you'll receive sound advice, quality professional service, and an honest opinion. That number again, 703-631-8000. Ask for Larry Ellis.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory.
Watch Tony's story at IamSecond.com.
Now back to Speed 77 Radio, Stock Car Steel, SRI Motorsports Show, and more Thursday night race talk. Here's your host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Kyle Magda, Aaron Bearden, and Jacob Seelman, all talking motorsports around the proverbial round table here, and focusing a little bit here on the 22nd annual Bojangles Summer Shootout Series for the Legends cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which normally consists of practice on Monday night, racing on Tuesday night during the months of June and July. However, on the first and last weeks of the series, they insert 2 nights of racing instead of the Monday night practice, and that is what happened this week as we kicked it off. And Jacob, our third guest, ready to join us here, second driver guest of the evening, and another one of our winners from the shootout here this week.
Indeed, and I have to say, I'm still impressed that you've managed to keep your numbers and your sponsors and your years and all that straight, Tom. You're doing well.
I'm a little
tonight.
slow, but I get there eventually.
In any event, let's talk with the guy who was not at all slow over the course of Tuesday night and ran double features, got bumped out of the way when he probably should have won the first one, and then proved to everybody why he should have won the first one by winning the second one. Michael Torres joins us now on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. And Michael, I used the word redemption Tuesday night after that second feature when you planted yourself squarely in victory lane. 1-4, you should put yourself in position to be battling for the championship lead over the next couple weeks. But after all the drama, all the mishaps, all the misfortunes and bad luck that you had last year, to finally come back, get a win at the shootout, how much was that good for your confidence, knowing that, hey, I've still got it. It's just a matter of getting things working in the right place at the right time again?
Yeah, it did bring up my confidence a lot. Having really struggled last year, and 2013 being so dominant and then winning it, and then having really high hopes in 2014 and not having go any way my luck. Coming back in 2015, knowing I led almost every lap in the round 1 race before getting knocked out lead, and then winning pole after changing the car Monday night after having a rough day in practice, changing the whole car around, using qualifying as a practice, getting pole, and then winning round 2. It just jumps your confidence up so highly. And with the team I have, it's just incredible what they can do for me and how they can help me and how I can help them.
You certainly have done a lot right here in the first 2 nights of the shootout this year. And I'm curious because, the Pro Class has a little different look this year. It's the same cars, little bit different field of drivers. A couple of people have moved around a little bit. But in a way, it kind of looked about the same as it did last year. It's the same style of driving. And, you said to me last summer that you felt comfortable with where you were in the pro class. It was just all about, being able to get the right circumstances. I mean, have you felt anything different as far as the field goes this year compared to previous years that you've run the shootout?
Yeah, I do think it's a big difference, And I said before I was comfortable, but now I'm feeling like I'm like at like Daniel Hemrick and William Byron level they were at last year in pro. You look at it, you're in Young Lions or semi-pro, and the driver's dominating. You go to pro, it's a totally different feeling. There's not guys that are 0.2 different. Most guys are a tenth to less than a half a tenth different in lap times per lap. The consistency is always there. And last year, I think I really bit the bullet hard and really realized that everyone's going to be the same speed. You make one little mistake and you're getting put back. And I really learned that last year after having a really stressful year, coming here, remembering that and knowing now I had that 1 year under my belt in pro. I know what pro is like, and now I feel like I'm at the top of pro with the other top pro drivers doing what they did last year and how they were dominant. Now I'm here being dominant as well.
Well, the interesting thing is, Mike, is that when I look at the difference from last year to this year, what I really see is a maturity in the way that you're approaching it, and I think you're comfortable and you know what's expected of you, and it's not as if, to be dominant in a class with the type of competition that you're running against is, pretty amazing. And I think this year the pro class is basically going to be a class, as you said, where one mistake is going to be the difference between front and back. And, you definitely had maybe examples of both, in the sense that you had one taken from you in the first race, but rebounded right back and just dominated race 2.
Yeah, like I said last year, I was comfortable, and now last year I was a little nervous, before races. This year,
right,
like you said, I know what's expected of me now.
Yep.
I know what I'm capable of doing, and now I go out there with a lot higher myself. I think more highly of myself now in the pro class, and when I strap in the car, I'm not shaking or nervous like I usually am. I'm pretty confident in myself that I know what I'm capable of doing. I know my car is capable of doing, and I know what I can do to put my car back in victory lane. And like in round 1, I was a little nervous, and on that restart, I didn't do as good as I thought I should have done. I made sure those next 8 or 9 restarts in the second round, I was not going to mess up. I was going to be the most perfect restarter out there. In my opinion, I think I did a pretty good job of keeping the lead and making sure I was secure. And those last 8 laps pull, I wanted every ounce of cushion I could have to make sure I wouldn't have a repeat of round 1.
Well, and that's the way to go, too. And, you really said a lot there about the mentality that it takes to be successful in the pro class. You have to be confident in yourself. You have to be confident in your race car, and you have to have your act together when it comes to the little things like the restarts. Especially there, I would think, Michael, where, with the choose, you never really know who your row mate's going to be, and you never know who's going to end up behind you. So every restart is basically a little bit of an unknown. The situation changes every time, but if you're the leader, your job is still the same no matter who's around you. That's just to get the jump and get out front before anyone else can mess with you.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing about pro is every driver will choose the outside. You can be in second or third place. Under other classes they might not choose, but in pro, they'll definitely try to get the advantage. They'll try it, and if it doesn't work, they might try again. You know what? They might let someone else try it. Young Lions is a little not like that. A lot of kids are really timid and scared about going on the outside. But when you go to pro, everyone wants a chance to take the lead. Everyone wants that one opportunity to take what you just messed up, and that's always a little scary every now and then because Carson Ferguson always dominant on the outside, and I knew he was going to be strong. And then you have Lang and everyone else trying to do the same thing. And it's just a lot of pressure because, everything changes. It's not like Young Lions where usually the same kid would choose the outside to gain or try to take that top spot. In pro, it's just you never know who's up next to you until they're next to you, and it's always someone different.
The outside groove didn't seem to be working very well at all on Tuesday. Did you find that too?
Yeah, there's never really much grip there, never really time to hold on. But there are times and nights where you could hold on for a solid lap or two, and then in round one, I tried the outside in the last lap and drove it in a little too deep, trying to beat Gregory Lang for second on the outside, and just caught no traction. And instead of staying in second and third, I fell back to fourth, and that hurt me too. I just looked at that and was disappointed in myself for even thinking that maybe I would have a chance. And you know what? You gotta try something once in a while to get that extra position.
You got to try things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, Mike. And they worked, they worked well in that second race. And you pick up a win, you're leading the points, and that's momentum headed to next week. And it's momentum that I know is not possible without a lot of help. So I want to give you a chance to shout out to all those people that make it happen for you and the 15 crew.
Yeah, the biggest thing is my crew chief, my dad. My dad does so much to help me get up there, and for him to take time off of work in Florida, it's tough. And he owns an AC company, and this is the busiest time of his work, and it's just great knowing that he can do this for me and for himself, because it's both of us who love this. I gotta thank Stephen Ross. Just the work he puts into my car and the time is unbelievable. You would never find a harder working guy than Stephen Ross. Then you got Ben Ross and Justin and Big Dan and everyone who puts your wrench on it. I gotta thank my sponsors, ACR Sales and Service, Air Conditioning, Stanley Steamer Carpets. Daikin came aboard this summer, and they're doing a great job helping out and supporting me, and everyone else and the fans that come out to support me. It's a great feeling.
It's fun, and we're looking forward to seeing you back at the track both Monday and Tuesday. A lot going on for the rest of this summer, and just looking forward to seeing what you can do. Congratulations again on the victory, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It was awesome talking to you guys again.
That's Michael Torres, and I alluded, Tom, to the fact that we're going to have some stuff to do on Mondays. More importantly, it means that the Performance Motorsports Network is going to have some stuff to do on Mondays at the shootout, because we are going to be bringing Motorsports Madness to the Charlotte Motor Speedway for 4 Monday nights. 3, 5, 7, and 9. If you can follow odd numbers, that works well. But we're going to do it every other week on the practice days, or in the case of round 9, on race day, leading into championship night on Tuesday. Another way to help support what's become a really great grassroots series, Tom, now 22 years in the making. Bojangles signing a 5-year deal to sponsor the shootout. And, we're ramping up our coverage because it's ramping up the event itself in a very big way. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of this summer is going to hold. Going to be a lot of fun.
Exactly. So for those kind of wondering what we're talking about, we do Monday Night Motorsports Madness here on PMN as well. We were live from the track this past Monday for the opening race. We're going to be live for races 3, 5, 7, and 4 weeks 3, 5, 7, and 9 as well. So basically all that means is we're going to be on location 4 more times this summer at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we thank Lenny Baticki and all of the folks from CMS for allowing us to do that and inviting us to do that. We're excited to be a part of that. So always fun to go on location, whether it's practice or a race, when you have race drivers to interview live and such. It's always a great time. And with that, we're going to step aside. We'll be back with our white flag segment momentarily. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
How would you like to win a brand new Corvette? Larry O's got all the details.
In the Pits Media is proud to present its newest partner, WinYourNewCar.com. That's right, you now can enter the #1 American Dream Car Contest giveaway at WinYourNewCar.com. Complete the puzzle the fastest and win a new Corvette tax-free, delivered to your door. Come on, stop dreaming, start driving with WinYourNewCar.com.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hands can do incredible things. They made every sound in this piece of music. But nothing compares to using them to help save a life. If an adult suddenly collapses, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of their chest until help arrives. It's called hands-only CPR, and it's recommended by the American Heart Association. Visit handsonlycpr.org today. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Car problems? You can trust your local Cotman man. Cotman has a 40-year history as a leader in car repair and making happy, satisfied customers. Whatever's wrong with your car, SUV, or truck, Cotman will check it out free using state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment. Don't take chances with your car. Bring it to Cotman and let your local Cotman man show you why they are America's transmission and total auto care experts. Visit Cotman.com to download money-saving coupons. Cotman. Real service, real fast.
You know that phone call is going to come at the worst possible time, right at the end of the game. Fourth quarter, fourth down, and 1 yard to go. They're piling up, but you can't watch that. You got to get that car off the road. This could have been prevented if you have taken advantage of Cotman's free TransCheck 21. Here's a chance to have us look at your car and head off any problems that could happen that could interrupt that game. Again, it's a free check. Come see us.
See Leonard and the fine folks at Cotman of Manassas, 9113 Mathis Avenue in Manassas. Give them a call at 703-365-7200.
All I wanted to do was just pick up a guitar and sing praise songs.
From IamSecond.com.
Well, when I got to 17, I was playing in after-hours bars, just in a bunch of trouble.
Grammy Award winner Michael W. Smith.
Smoking that first joint and feeling so guilty about it. From there, it was LSD, and your compass sort of just like disappeared. I knew where I belonged. I just couldn't get out. I was very depressed. I went on the floor and just began to shake. And I was just weeping. I was weeping. And I just began to just cry out for God. 12:30 at night, on the linoleum floor of my kitchen, the God of the universe came and wept with me on that floor. I know where my hope lies. It's not being a rock star. I'm a son of the High King of the universe.
Watch Michael's story at IamSecond.com.
Time for more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on PMN. Here's a man who's in great shape. Round-ish shape. Give it up for Tom Baker.
Rolling right along, aren't you, Tom?
That's exactly right. Hey, I got on the treadmill this morning, so we're trying to, we're starting an effort to become a little less round over the course of the rest of the summer.
Well, just don't go and eat all the free Bojangles now, because that could be a problem. But in any event, welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Jacob Seelman, Tom Baker, Kyle Magda, and a very eerily quiet Aaron Bearden here at the round table. And Aaron, I'm going to start this last segment. It's the white flag segment, but I want to do something that we haven't done in a little bit while and actually go lightning round around the table with all three of you guys. And Aaron, I'll start with you. So I'll give you about 30 seconds for each one of your responses here as we go around the table. I'll give each of you 2 bullet points. And my first bullet point for you, Aaron, is the IndyCar race this weekend in Toronto. They announced the Grand Marshal today. It's James Hinchcliffe. Woo!
Yeah, it's definitely great to see Hinch coming back to a track. I don't think we'll see him behind the wheel for a while, but it's good for the sport and for all involved to see him at the racetrack.
It is good to see him involved. And second bullet point for you, my friend, is really simple. Fuel mileage or no fuel mileage tomorrow for the ARCA race?
For the ARCA race, I say there's some sort of crash or motor failure that limits it with the new Elmore motors. I'm going to say no fuel mileage.
All right, Tom, your turn. Sunday,
yes.
Michigan Sprint Cup. Jimmy Johnson or Kevin Harvick, and why?
Well, considering I picked Greg Biffle on Monday, if I have to choose between the two, I mean, obviously Jimmy would be the safe choice, but you know what? I'm going to say it again. It's a 2-mile track, and Kevin Harvick, to me, even though Jimmy's won more races, Harvick has been much more consistent. If I had to bet money on this between those two, I'm picking Freaky Fast.
Wow, that's not what I expected. And so I'll stay on the Michigan subject. Does Kyle Busch win in the Saturday Xfinity race in his first race back since Daytona or not, and why? Defend your point.
Is that a me question?
That's a you question.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to say yes because NASCAR, but then the tin hat people would applaud me. No, I think actually, I think Kyle probably. I mean, look, he wins most of the races he runs in Xfinity, so I don't want to say that he's going to win first race back because. I mean, it's still a developing team over there this year that he's with that 54 car, but they've definitely showed much better lately. And I think Kyle, this is the type of track where Kyle does what Kyle does best. He's just get in, push the pedal, and go. And so I think there's a good chance that he probably wins his first race back just because he's that doggone good. But I would say I'd only give that maybe a 60 to 70% chance because you got some other cup guys in the race too who aren't just going to roll over because Rowdy's back.
Joey Logano,
Kevin Harvick. I mean, keep going.
Anyway, Kyle Magda, your turn. Let's see. There's actually less short track racing than I tend to like going on this weekend. I'm a little disappointed in this, but we'll go tour mod racing for a minute just because they've finished up. Doug Coby or Ryan Preece for the title through the races that we've gotten done so far?
I'm going to say Doug Coby just because of that performance he had at Thompson. Just liberated the field, leading so many laps, pulling away from everybody. And it's going to come down to the end of Thompson, no World Series, and it's going to be an interesting battle between the two. Whatever happens. Ryan Preece winning on both tours, and Doug Coby going out there on Wednesday night and dominating Jacob.
And second point for you, sir. And I kind of like this one. What's the top speed that we're going to see in qualifying because of the decrease in horsepower for Michigan for the Cup Series this weekend, if you had to guess?
I'm going to say 200 miles an hour average. I think we go down to 200 because I think, 206 last August with Jeff Gordon?
Something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to say 200 because that track is still, for only being repaved for 4 years, still very, very fast and just running ridiculous speeds. So, Jacob, I think we'll go at least we'll see one car or maybe more go 200 miles an hour average a lap.
10-4. And Tom, you poked me with a third bullet point for you, and I'll go there. ISMA in action. The Supers are back at Oswego this weekend, and the first race at Oswego for ISMA earlier this season, for the first time in 2 years, we saw somebody not named Schulich or Lichty end up in victory lane. And more importantly, those two are the ones that are fighting it out for the track record. So the question becomes, Schulich or Lichty? Do we see a new track record? And if so, who sets it?
Well, and that's, it's not very often that we have the chance to have a situation where we are just so excited about qualifying. But for those who don't know the Oswego Speedway, it's a 5/8 mile oval, and they run super modifieds up there, the most exotic short track cars on the planet. And last year, Classic weekend, Labor Day weekend, DJ Schulich 14.9 seconds around the 5/8 mile. That equates, folks, to an average speed of a tick over 150 on a 5/8 mile. And then a few weeks ago, in Oswego's opening show of the season, the ISMA Supers with the wings came back once again. They run them without the wings on a weekly basis. They put the wings back on top, bring in the ISMA guys, and Mike Lichty, who's basically DJ Schulich's arch nemesis on the ISMA Tour, goes out and cranks a 14.8 second lap to set a new track record. Now, Schulich also had a 14.8, but it was a higher one. So
14.823, sir, by the way.
Was Lichty's time, yeah. And Schulich, I think, was an 8.57 or whatever. And And of course, Mark Salmon ended up passing Lichty on the last lap to win the race on opening day. But man, I got to tell you, I like the chances because it's going to be about 70 degrees or so at qualifying time, and that's a nice temperature for these super modified motors to really sing. And I have the feeling we may see another record. I just can't even imagine how low this could go. I mean, they're already over 150 average speed on a 5/8 mile track. I don't care who you are or what you like to watch race. That's amazing.
151.4 for my math friends out there.
Oof. Wow. For Lichty, is that what that equated to?
Yes, sir.
Wow. I mean, that's just, and just to give you a point of reference, guys, I started going to Oswego in 1973. Now, they didn't run wings back then. It was just the unwinged cars. And the track record in 1973, I think, was 18.7 seconds for an unwinged super. Now, their track record is a 15.8, and the winged supers are running 14.8. I mean, it's unbelievable the speeds that they're running, and they still pass each other. I mean, good God.
As Kyle Magda says, it's redonkulous, man.
It's redonkulous, blasphemous.
Well, not
there
blasphemous, just redonkulous. But yeah,
blasphemous.
That's
a little bit of James Pike shout out there.
Yeah, blasphemous. Yeah, it's really unbelievable, though, honestly. And I used to always worry when those cars are there because you're hardly lifting anymore. I mean, thank God for the styrofoam barriers that they have. Foam blocks on the walls there, because I've seen a few of them pile in, and you definitely don't want to miss the foam running 150 miles an hour average speed, because that means they're probably about 160 or so into the corner. So you don't want to be piling into a steel wall at that speed.
No, you don't. You really, really don't. By the way, Tom, while I'm thinking about it, we need to go back to New York and play the lottery, because if one of us hits the lottery, we need to ship some money to the Tereses. And, I love the styrofoam, but I hate when it starts snowing in the middle of summer. If one of us wins the lottery, let's just put safer barriers in around the whole place.
Well, that's a nice thought, but I actually like it when it snows in the middle of the summer there, because that means we probably saved somebody's life, and we've certainly, or at least we've saved a serious injury. Those foam blocks were invented by Billy Colton at Troyer Engineering. I don't even know how many years ago, and Oswego was one of the first tracks to use them. It was a Northeast invention, and they brought them down when the supers came to Concord. They brought a few of them down and put them against the concrete walls going into the corners and some of the more treacherous areas at Concord Motor Speedway when the supers ran there. And there again, half-mile tri-oval, and the supers were running about 13 seconds flat, whereas the modifieds, for example, were in the 15s. So it's just stunning how quick those supers are, and really to watch Mike and DJ get after each other in qualifying is just breathtaking. And oddly enough, you'd think, well, gosh, how much racing could they do at that speed? The ISMA has a redraw. So, sometimes you get a situation where one of those guys got to start 9th or 10th and come through in a 50-lap race. And, these guys are competitive. The traffic's tight there. It's a tough track to pass on. So that's why the last race, Samet was able to go around Lichty on the last lap on the top and beat him to the line. So, it's just unbelievable to watch that sort of thing. So that'll be fun. And I'm not sure, I will suggest that our audience check out Oswego, OSWEGO, OswegoSpeedway.com. There may be a pay-per-view this weekend of that race. I'm not positive. If there is, it's well worth the time to sit in front of the computer and watch those cars fly around that track.
Indeed it is. Aaron Bearden, I'll go to you really quickly. Any final thoughts from you before we head into this racing weekend?
Yeah, man, hopefully if it rains in Michigan, I can drive up there and get some cheap tickets. I'm only like 2 hours away from the track, so rain might actually help me, but I don't think anybody else is going to look for it.
I don't want to hear that. Aaron Bearden's hoping for rain. So, Twitterverse, if it happens tomorrow, hashtag blame Bearden on Twitter.
Blame Bearden.
Kyle Magda.
Well, actually, Matt Weaver's there, so I don't know.
We'll deflect the blame away from Beard. We'll
blame Weaver.
It's kind of fun.
Me.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, Aaron, because I was talking to Jacob and Tom and James a few weeks ago here. I'll make it quick. If Dover got rained out, I would have went to Dover on Monday. That didn't happen. I was at Bowman Gray, but looking like a good ARCA race tomorrow. I thought last week was still wide open, even though Trevor Bain won. It's going to be even more wide open. I say anybody in the top 10 in practice has a shot at winning. That's how close the field is, Jacob.
All right. And for me, I'm just looking for Sunday and trying to see if the 48 can get revenge for the win that got away at Pocono and go back to victory lane. That's my 2 cents. But right now, we're going to throw a checkered flag and say we will see you next Thursday right here at 7 p.m. Eastern for another round of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. And thank our partners at Stock Car Steel and SRI Supplies for making this show possible. You can visit them on the web at stockcarsteel.com and sri-supplies.com for all your shop supply and scrap metal needs. So right now, for Kyle, Tom, Aaron, and Big Mike behind the glass, I'm Jacob Seelman for the Performance Motorsports Network, reminding you to keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next time at the racetrack. Have a safe racing weekend. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tonight's show is brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. For all of your racing needs, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. Keep up with the latest motorsports news every day on Race Chaser Online. The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week for more great motorsports programming right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.